friends, I am Yashar from Indonesia. It is nice to see you again. This time I will present the article Derivation of Newton Gravity Equation and Concept of Compressed Matter. This derivation equation is inspired by my suggestion that dark matter is the spreading of micro-sized compressed matter particles in interstellar and intergalaxies. And cloud and rain model universe claim that compressed matter is the matter where there is no space in the entire matter. Thus, it has been hypothesized dark matter has a strong gravity effect in galaxies. Then the question emerged: why dark matter doesn't intrude into solar system? To answer this question, we have to see what is the main physical condition difference between solar system and interstellar. The answer is mainly temperature, since solar system get heat from the sun. On the contrary, there is no source of heat at all at interstellar, so the temperature over there is almost 0 degree Kelvin. Yes, this situation inspired me to involve temperature T to factor G at the Newton gravity equation. F equal G times m1 times m2 divided r squared, where F equal gravity between mass 1 and mass 2, G is gravity factor, m1 and m2 are mass 1 and mass 2, r equal distance between mass 1 and mass 2. Besides temperature, in this Earth we have noticed that actually density do influence the gravity. You get that gravity increased by decreasing temperature and gravity increased by increasing density. So by involving T and D, the G will be G equal G nu times D1 times D2 divided T1 times T2, where G equal new gravity factor, D1 and D2 are density 1 and density 2, T1 and T2 are temperature 1 and temperature 2. Then the derivation equation is F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R squared. This equation is valid for all matter, either ordinary matter or compressed matter. Then yes, this derivation equation answers why dark matter doesn't intrude into solar system. According to the equation, F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R squared. By increasing temperature at solar system, the gravity between electrons and atom nuclei in dark matter as micro-sized compressed matter particles weakens. Then electrons and atom nuclei get apart from each other to become cosmic ray which intruding our solar system. So actually, those dark matter particles have intruded our solar system, but the dark matter converted directly into cosmic ray due to temperature increasing. Then we get that this derivation equation of Newton gravity is valid to all matter. This equation is harmonious with and can explain cases of matter like atom structure, nuclear reaction, iron to expand by heating, water to evaporate, water to boil, supernova, black hole, dark matter, and many others. In terms of the equation, F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R squared, the following are samples of cases influenced by temperature. Let's see atom structure. The stable structure of electrons orbiting the proton and neutron is caused by gravity. It isn't caused by positive-negative magnetic charge. The magnetic charge will not be strong enough to maintain the stability of that atom structure. The true cause is gravity as it is expressed by the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R squared. Next, nuclear reaction needs heat to happen, and it can be prevented by cooling. According to the equation, F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R squared. By temperature increase, the gravity between electrons and atom nucleus to decrease, so the farthest electrons more easy to get apart. Likewise, the temperature increase also will decrease the gravity between proton and neutron. So by temperature increase, the radioactive atom tend to change to get into more stable atom structure. On the contrary, by cooling, gravity between electrons and atom nucleus and between proton and neutron get stronger so that atom structure gets more stable. Next, metal to expand by heating. Again, refer to the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square. By temperature increase, the gravity between electrons and atom nucleus decrease, so the distance between them get farther. As a result, the volume of that metal will expand. Next, water to evaporate by heating. We have seen above that by temperature increase and refer to the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square, the atom volume to expand, and so that matter to expand also. This expanding causes the density of water decrease drastically to cause that water change into vapor. Next, water to boil by heating. This event also correlates to the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square. As we cook water into the pan, the bottom part of the water gets the heat first, so the density of the water at the bottom part will always smaller than above it. This case causes the water boils. Next, supernova. When the star gets the fuel to decrease significantly, the temperature of that star will also decrease significantly. Many cases occur during this step, like the atom structure at that star getting denser because gravity between atom's nucleus and electrons to reduce. Likewise, distance between atom and or molecule to decrease, so that star getting denser. The gravity force of the dying star greatly increase due to temperature decreasing and density increasing to cause planets, asteroids, satellites, and other objects approaching and joining with that dying star. This all happens in correspond to the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square. Then, when planets and other objects at that solar system join with the dying star due to increasing gravity, the extreme explosive could occur because that star getting more extra fuel. This event is observed as supernova. Then, after no more fuel to burn, that dying star will cool down to the ultimate low temperature. Corresponding to the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square, the gravity between atom nucleus and electrons in atom structure becomes ultimate strong to significantly reduce the space in between atom nucleus and electrons to an end, so that there is no space in that new atom structure then named as compressed atom structure matter. Then, due to ultimate high gravity, distance between compressed atom structure matters also come to an end, or getting no space between compressed atom structure matter. So the new entire matter becomes compressed matter. Compressed matter is the matter where there is no space in the entire matter, or the compressed matter is the matter where there is no space between compressed atom structure matters. The compressed atom structure matters is the atom where there is no space between atom nucleus and electrons. The compressed matter is just dense matter. In the structures of ordinary matter, there is very much space between atom nucleus and electrons, between atoms, and between molecules. So, space about more than 99% of volume in ordinary matter, but it is different with compressed matter. In compressed matter, space almost or equal 0% and matter almost or equal 100%. So, in the above event, the dead star was converted into compressed matter object called black hole. Next, black hole. As it has been described above, end of the supernova is black hole, which is actually a compressed matter, and this statement is harmonious with the following reference. It is a great amount of matter packed into a very small area. Sinks of a star 10 times more massive than the sun, squeezed into a sphere approximately the diameter of New York City. The result is a gravitational field so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. Big Bang theory noticed about black hole as follows. Scientists cannot directly observe black hole with telescope that detect X-ray, light, or other form of electromagnetic radiation. Cloud and rain model universe answer about this note as follows. We cannot directly observe black hole with telescope that detect X-rays, light, or other form of electromagnetic radiation because as a compressed matter, there is no space at all in the black hole, or space is equal 0% in the black hole. Any object needs both the space and matter in order to have such characters. So, the construction of the black hole is corresponding with the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square. Next, dark matter. Dark matter is a hypothetical form of a matter thought to account for approximately 85% of the matter in the universe. Dark matter is called dark because it doesn't appear to interact with the electromagnetic field, which means it doesn't absorb, reflect, or emit electromagnetic radiation and is therefore difficult to detect. Various astrophysical observations, including gravitational effect, which cannot be explained by currently accepted theories of gravity unless more matter is present than can be seen, imply dark matter presence. For this reason, most experts think that dark matter is abundant in the universe and has had a strong influence on its structure and evolution. The primary evidence for dark matter comes from calculations showing that many galaxies would behave quite differently if they didn't contain a large amount of unseen matter. Some galaxies would not have form at all and others would not move as they currently do. Unlike normal matter, dark matter doesn't interact with the electromagnetic force. This means it doesn't absorb, reflect, or emit light, making it extremely hard to spot. In fact, researchers have been able to infer the existence of dark matter only from the gravitational effect it seems to have on visible matter. By the characters of dark matter, having gravity effect against galaxies and stars, doesn't interact with electromagnetic radiation, and to exist at quite low temperature, it is expected that dark matter is the same kind of matter like black hole, which is compressed matter but with a quite small size. It is expected that dark matter is the spreading of micro size of compressed matter in space. Then a question arises, why dark matter doesn't intrude into solar system? Yes, as it has been described in the beginning of this article, this question has inspired me to propose the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square to valid for all matter, ordinary matter, and compressed matter. So, by the developing of Newton's law of gravitation equation, we can comprehend why supernova to exist, what is black hole, and what is dark matter. And also with regard to the equation F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square, the following are samples of cases influenced by density: ship, balloon, cloud, gasoline, and water. Yes, derivation equation of Newton's gravity F equal G times D1 times D2 times M1 times M2 divided T1 times T2 times R square can explain cases of all matter, either ordinary matter or compressed matter. Thank you, friend. See you on the next article.